If Yahusha, who the world calls Jesus Christ, if he were on the earth right now, how do you think he'd live? What kind of lifestyle do you think that man would be living? You who say you love Yahusha and follow Yahusha, what would you expect to see if he were on this earth? Now, once you come to your conclusions on what you think he would be like and live like, if he came to you and he said, follow me, would you follow him? This one that you say you love, this one that you say that you've been following, if he came in the flesh and you saw him and he said, come follow me, would you do it? You who's hearing this message right now, if he came to you and he said, take everything you have, sell it, and give it to the poor, give the money to the poor, and come follow me, would you do it? Would you recognize him? And would you be able to give up your wealth and your riches? Just like that man you read about, that rich man that went away sorrowful because he couldn't give up his worldly riches, even though he thought he was good, keeping the commands of the Most High. He went away sorrowful. What would you do that day if it were you? Would you go away sorrowful, or would you give it all up for Christ? You who's listening to me, what if you were like that man whose father had just passed away? And he said, let me go bury my father. And Christ said, let the dead bury the dead. You come and follow me. Would you follow Christ? A man who's lowly, a man who no outward beauty that we should desire him. See, because you got to be real with yourself today. You got to be real with yourself. What have you given up? What are you suffering for Christ's sake? Because if you're not suffering, then you are not Christ. Because I'm asking you, what do you think Christ would be feeling if he were walking on the earth today? What do you say? Do you think he'd be happy with the way the earth is going and the affairs of the earth? Do you think he'd be pleased? Or do you think he'd be in sorrow? What do you think? The way the poor are treated, the way the fatherless are treated on this earth, the way the orphan is treated and mistreated, the way children are abducted, never to be seen by their mothers and fathers again. How do you think Christ would feel walking on this earth? Now then, you say you follow him. So if you follow him, then that means that you would feel the way he feels, correct? So how many of you are actually in sorrow about these things today? How many of you are at what we would say, the end of your rope with this world? You see, so if you're at the end of your rope, you true ones, then where would that mean that Christ is if you've been following Christ? You see? That's why he said that people would be going along eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage. It's hard to do that when you're in sorrow, sackcloth and ashes. It's hard to think about wedding bells and putting on a white dress and a tuxedo when you're in sorrow about the state of this world. But if you're not in sorrow, if you're not suffering with Christ, then would you be wearing sackcloth and ashes? No, you would be like those hypocrites that Yahusha taught you about when he said they love to increase the borders on their garments and sit in Moses' seat. You see that? They love to be called rabbi, rabbi. And you see it all over this world. Rabbi so-and-so and Rabbi Harry Rosenberg and Rabbi. My master said, be not called rabbi. So you see how many people truly aren't following him while saying that they are. Where are your stripes of suffering? Where are your tears of sorrow in a bottle? Where is your sackcloth and your ashes? Because what else would a people do if they had got the word from Almighty God that their nation would be destroyed and turned into rubble? How should they walk before him today? In their pride? In their pride? Is that what you think would please Yahushua if he walked amongst you today? Your parties and your galas and your shows and your entertainment and your music and your songs of death and destruction. And you think he would be pleased with that? And all of the ones that say that they follow him, you are pleased with it? You see, people are afraid to suffer. No one wants to suffer, then no one wants Christ. You hear me? I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'll repeat it. It's not my words. I'm just here to remind you of the word. The only word that matters. That's what I'm here to do. Remind you of the word. See, because people speak and they talk and they speak a good game about, oh, I love God. I love God. And yes, I follow Jesus Christ. I love him. But meanwhile, they can't even love themselves, let alone love their neighbor as themselves. They're not even capable of doing it. They hate themselves. Calling out to Christ. Calling out to Christ. Hating themselves and hating their neighbors every single day. Believing that they can mock God and fool God into believing, yes, God accepts me. Well, then I'll ask you again, if Yahushua came to you today and said, give that all up, material gain that you've gotten, give it all up right now and come follow me and walk with me. And you're looking at him, looking lowly, in plain clothing, riding on a donkey, and you're offended when you look at him. You're offended that he's asking you to do that. You're offended that he would ask you to walk away from your children. You're offended that he would ask you to walk away from your wife and say, let it go and come follow me. You're offended that he would ask you to walk away from your mother and your father. You're offended at him for asking you to do that, and you hate him because of that, not realizing that he is the only one that loves you. They don't. They cannot, for they know not love. He is the one who reveals the Father, and only he can. Read it in the Word and see if I'm lying to you about anything that I've ever said to you. These be the word that come out of my mouth, not words. I don't speak words. I speak the word. Because there's only one, and that is truth. And when you align yourself with truth, now you're suffering. Because the truth of what life is would suffer in a world that's full of death, would it not? When you seek to heal, And everyone around you seeks to destroy and bring down because they are foolish. And what does a foolish person do? They tear their own house down with their own hands. And that's what you've done, Americans. You've torn your own house down with your own hands. You're proud. You're full of pride. So much so that you would take God's promise and desecrate it and turn it into an abomination right before his face. A blood-soaked land that you dance upon with a rainbow flag around your wrist and around your body and around your head, and you're flaunting it in front of children, saying this is a safe haven to children to come to me when they see these colors, and not the Father. You seek to take glory for yourself, to take the name of I am in lies. I am, he, she, they, them. I am transitioning man. I am about non-binary. I just found out this morning. I'm non-binary. I am none of those things, and I am offended that you would seek to take the Most High's image and distort it into a Baphomet. So it should be obvious to all who serves who in this world. Who is actually serving who? But see, when you believe and you know, when you eat up the word of Abba Yah, when you eat it and you constantly grow thereby, then you grow into a juggernaut. You grow into a conquering lion of Judah. You grow into the measure of Christ. And you walk with him in his suffering, and you understand that through this suffering I shall be made into fine gold. For gold is tried in the furnace, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. So I must go through this adversity so I can become an acceptable piece of gold in my Father's hand. For without it I cannot be made pure, without the fire. I need it to make me pure. But those who run from the fire, how can they be made pure? Those who deny the fire, who deny the suffering, how can you be made pure if you do not walk through that furnace of adversity? You see? Because we know that the carnal mind, see that fleshly mind that you have, is enmity against God. It ain't even subject to the law of Abba, and neither can it be. So your fleshly mind, what am I going to eat? What am I going to drink? Okay, you sound like a beast to me, or as the scriptures say, your fleshly mind is at war with Christ. See, because Christ tells you this, take no thought. But you keep on taking thought. So got a question for you. Why you doubting? Any of you elect right now that's listening to this message, if you stand on what you say you stand on, then why are you doubting today? Why are you getting tired and giving up? Why? Is it because of unbelief? You don't believe your Father, what he promised you? Is that what it is? Because you can't see it, smell it, taste it, and touch it. That is all flesh, brother. If you don't overcome that today, then you shall die in it. But we who long and look for that blessed hope, we will not lose faith. Faith is the substance of the thing hoped for, the evidence not seen. I don't have to see it to love it. Do you understand me? I don't have to see it to desire it. I don't have to see it to know it. I don't. I am it. I am it. So I decide and I choose whose word. Abba says all men are liars, but his word be true. So who do I believe today? Do I hang on his word, his promises? Do I? So that Abba can count my faith unto me as righteousness and right thinking in a world of wrong thought. You see? Because if you are of the flesh, you cannot please God. So when he asks you to give those fleshly things up and you struggle with that, you ain't pleasing Abba. You hanging on to something temporary, no matter how everlasting it may seem to you. If it's in this world, it's temporary, including that body you got on, including that body you wearing. It's temporary too. You see? But if you thinking in that fleshly mindset, then you're in death. Because in the scriptures it's written, to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Do you hear that? To be spiritually minded is life and peace. Life and peace. So why does someone have torment? They have torment because of fear. They don't have peace because of fear. Fear that what? They won't obtain what they long for. That's it. That's it, and that's all. The hindrance, the great deception that even the very elect would be deceived thereby if it were possible, but it ain't. But it ain't. So we seeing through y'all dumb shit and we persevering, which is money can give me happiness. No. No. That's fame can give me happiness. No. Clout will give me happiness. No. Only one thing can give you that peace that you looking for. Only one thing. You see? But like I said, if you are in the flesh, you can't please God. Because you're only in one or the other. You understand that? You're only in one or the other. So I'm going to read something, then I'm going to end this message. I'm going to read something to y'all real quick, and then I'll be done with this. Go to the book of Romans, chapter 8. Chapter 8. We'll go to verse 8. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please El, but you are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit. Hear that? If so be that the Spirit of El dwelleth in you. Now if any man have not the Spirit of Christ, he is none of his. And if Christ be in you, see that? Where is he? The body is dead because of sin, but the Spirit is life because of righteousness. But if the Spirit of him that raised up Yahushua from the dead dwelleth in you, he that raised up Christ from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his Spirit that dwelleth in you. Hear that? Quicken, be given life, breathe life into. You see? Let's go down to verse 14. For as many as are led by the Spirit of El, they are the sons of El. For you have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear. See? Fear. But you have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. See? The Spirit itself bearing witness with our spirit that we are the children of El. And if children, then we are heirs, heirs of El, and joint heirs with Christ, if so be that we suffer with him. Wait a minute. So y'all who say you love Yahusha and all that stuff, and y'all, yes, I love Jesus Christ, and pray for your brother and all that stuff, you want to be a joint heir with Christ, correct? Don't you? I'm sure you would say yes. Now, how are you going to become a joint heir with him? It says, if you suffer with him. That's what I'm trying to get through y'all's thick skulls over here. You got to suffer with him. He's not happy about what's going on. So then when you hear me speak, you should hear how Christ feels, since you can't see him. You see what I'm trying to explain to you? Because the word will reveal to you how he feels. Listen to what I'm saying. Then you'll know. Why? Because I'm suffering right along with him. I'm wearing sackcloth and ashes. I've given up all of my goods. I'm not saying this out of pride. I'm just telling you the truth. I gave it all up. My family, my children, my wife, my mom, my dad, my sisters, my name, my social security cards, my identification cards, my job, my what else? What else? What else? What else? Friends, um, clothes, um, everything. Everything, guys. Everything. So if you don't suffer with him, then you won't be glorified with him. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time, see, brothers, see, suffering, we all are not worthy. So the suffering is not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. I want you to hear that. Revealed where? Where the glory gonna be revealed at, brother? Say it loud. Say it loud. Where's the glory gonna be revealed at? Say it in you. Say it. Don't be ashamed to say it in me. That's where. For the earnest expectation. Come on now. What you waiting for? What you hoping for? Of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of El. He ain't waiting for us. You, me. Why? So we can take rulership of the new kingdom, the new heavens and new earth, and rule it in righteousness with Christ. Because they're in bondage. You hear me, brother? They're in bondage. They got your woman in bondage. They got your children in bondage. They got your animals in bondage. They got your plants in bondage. They got your ocean in bondage. They got your grass in bondage. They got your water in bondage. You hear me today? So all of them, the grass, the trees, the birds, are waiting for you. All of them are waiting for you like one big spirit bomb. So what you gonna do? You gonna give up now when we're right here at the finish line? Or you gonna push through and break that tape and throw your hands up high and dance at last and say, I made it. I finished that race and fought that good fight of faith. I didn't let him steal it. I didn't let him kill it or destroy it. I kept it in my mind where no one can touch it. Because as long as you think you can touch my body, then go right ahead. Destroy it then. Because you can't destroy what's inside of me. You can't. You can lie to me all day long, and I won't believe you. You hear me? I'm free. You can try to twist and manipulate and deceive to me all day, and I've let it go. I'm not mad at that anymore. That you try to steal something from me, so what? I choose to not let you. That's all. I choose to not let you steal it. That's it. And that's all it ever was. When your mother talked down to you, when your father made you feel like shit, when your wife made you feel like shit, when your coworkers thought you were strange and all the people around you thought you were different, when you are different and you are peculiar and you are strange, if you would just accept that. This world full of truth tellers or liars? Now, which one are you? See why you're strange? You see? So that's all, y'all. We're going to leave it at that, brothers. Be emboldened by this message and be encouraged but with these words and comfort yourselves with them. Shalom, Israel.